This video is to show you how I do my eyebrows. I'm sorry about my voice, I'm sick. So here are my eyebrows with nothing on. As you can tell, they are very sparse and thin. Naturally, they're a light mousy brown color. I do dye them to match my hair, which I really suggest that you get done by a professional, because if you get that dye in your eyes, forget it. You're gonna blind yourself. And also be prepared to look like Groucho Marx for a few days, because you got to put it on very carefully. But get it done by a professional and you'll be good. I just like them to be as dark as possible. So I don't know. You could just achieve the same look with a darker pencil or brow powder. But yeah, so first thing I would tell you to do is to invest in a good pair of tweezers. These are the tweezers that I use there, the Tweezerman ones. They are slanted. The ones that are pointed are really good too. I do not suggest going and getting a cheap pair like these rounded ones. I only use these to like apply false lashes or something like that. But you're gonna end up ripping out too much hair or causing those little ingrown hair pimples. So first get a good pair of tweezers. And if you were lucky enough to have bushy, thick brows, I always wish to have a big, thick unibrow so I could shape them any which way that I want. But I would suggest having them shaped first by a professional. Then as the hair grows in, you can tweeze it yourself. But this way it's a little bit easier to get the shape that you want without tweezing too much. But if you're like me and you don't have much and you're not exactly comfortable you know, doing it freehand kind of, you know, just like right now with nothing on, you can fill them in first and then tweeze the hairs that are not you know, are not where you want them to be. But keep the natural shape of your brow. I don't tweeze anything up here at all. I only tweeze what's in here, and maybe sometimes there's a few little hairs over here that grow. On this eyebrow, for some reason, hardly anything ever grows. I basically leave this one alone. Once in a while, I clean up a little bit over here, but there's really nothing. I don't know if I zoom in if you'll even be able to tell. Like I said, it's been about a month because I knew I'd be doing this video, so I think it's a little fuzzy. Let's see how close I can get. I don't even know if you can see, but there's just a few hairs over here that just need to be cleaned up. And on this one, there's really nothing. So I am going to clean up my brows and then I'll be right back to fill them in and show you how I do that. Okay, so I just finished cleaning up my brows. You probably can't really tell much of a difference because I don't really have that much hair to tweeze. But normally I do it pretty much like every other day. As soon as I see a little one start to grow in, I just kind of pluck them out. So I already said to invest in a good pair of tweezers. Also, you should get a magnifying mirror so you can see everything, you know, very clear, and good lighting. So yeah, those are those little tips that I have. But okay, on to filling in my brows. I obviously fill them in pretty pretty heavy. I use, this is Brow Tech by Smashbox. It looks like this. There you go. It's wax on one side and then the colored powder on the opposite. They come in, I believe this is the dark brown. I think they have a more of a medium brown, blonde, and redhead. I love this stuff. I used to use pencil, but I just find that this is a little bit easier to work with, and I really like the color. The one that I have is obviously, it's called Smashing Brunette, but it's the darkest one that they have. So, sorry. But I have an angled brush. This one I got from Crown Brushes. It's really cheap. But I get a little bit of the color on here. Let me see if I could zoom in a little so you could see a little bit better. And I start right underneath, and I'm going to flick up. I don't press hard. I'm pressing very gently because I want this to look as natural as possible. Get a little bit more. And I just fill in this sparse area. Now in the front over here, I do create more of a slanted shape. I have a pretty full face and big eyes, so I could definitely, my face can handle the bigger brow. But when you get to the front and you're creating the shape, you just very gently touch, because you don't want a big thick block of color over here, because it's supposed to be thinner and then get thicker over here and then I guess thinner again. But this is just how I do my brows. I'm not saying it's the right way or the wrong way, but I've been doing it this way for a very, very long time, and I do get tons and tons of compliments, so I must be doing something right. Now right in here, I'm sparse over here. I don't grow any hair, but I do want to fill that in just a little bit. And I just always go over everything as I go. I just try and make it look as much like natural hair as possible. This is way harder to do on camera than it normally is. Usually only takes me a couple of minutes to do both brows, but I'm trying to make sure that you guys can see what I'm doing. Again, when you're in the front over here, just very lightly go over it. You don't want it to look hard. That's why I like this brow powder, because it goes on very soft. With a pencil, you're constantly applying it and then, you know, taking a brush and like working it in and then applying it and working it in. I can't be bothered. Okay, I think that's pretty good for this eye. Just a little bit right here. Okay. So I'm going to fill in this brow right here, and then I will be right back. Okay, so now I have the eyebrow powder on both eyebrows, and you're never going to get your eyebrows to look exact. Just try and keep them the same shape. So now I'm going to take the wax part, and I'm going to put it on one side of the angle of the angled brush. And I'm going to basically just lightly tap over. You don't want to smear, because then all the color is going to come off. So you're just going to just pat it gently over the eyebrows. This eyebrow, it's the opposite side of the brush because you want the angle to point in towards your nose on both sides when you usually see on this one, and then you switch it and you go on this side and then just tap it over. This wax helps to keep the color on and your eyebrows in place. And my job, you know, I get hot and sweaty, and this lasts all night. So, and that is it for my eyebrows. Let me just